Hey everyone, Darren Cornell here. Welcome back to my studio. Welcome to part 13 of the Kylo Ren head. I've got all my desk already set up. I've got all my Kylo Ren reference pictures up on my screen. I've got my R2-D2 mug filled with hot chocolate. Trying to drink less coffee. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so that hair keeps falling down. So it keeps doing that. It's very annoying, especially when you can see yourself on screen. Normally, as I go about my day, I can't see myself. So what my face does, I don't know about. So it's not a problem. And then I put this on, and I have my reference image, what am I trying to say? Preview image of my webcam on screen, and all I can see is this one white hair doing that. Okay, so Kylo Ren, last time we were doing I'll just move my keyboard out of the way. We were doing the eyes. I said we would either carry on with the eyes or do his eyebrows or paint his hair or do something. That's what we'll do. We will do something. Let me just check it's recording. It's recording, music is on, microphone is on. Right, let's do this. So I'll bring in the overhead camera to about there. Now I can't remember if I mentioned this last time. If I did, ignore me. I will just say it briefly again. I'm going to do a separate video when I have some time. That's really annoying me now. All of this string is to hold this camera steady because I've put it in a different position. I've put it lower, which is better for painting, better for me, better for you. You get to see closer up footage, but by extending it down, made it more prone to wobbling every time I touch the desk. So all of this string wrapped around my light and wrapped around the camera is holding it in place. So webcam, microphone, music. Let's go to the overhead. Let's get that roughly in place. Move that board across a little bit. Where is that? Okay, so let's do that. Actually, let me just feel the computer. Ooh, it's quite hot. Hang on, let me turn up the fan. Now this might make a bit of background noise, but it will help cool the computer down. I know I've said this on previous videos. Using this software on this computer makes it overheat quite a lot. It's not a big, huge, powerful computer. It's a Mac Mini. It does everything I need it to. But once I started recording videos and using multiple webcams and stuff, it started to show its limits. It works, it does it, but it makes the computer quite hot. So I've just turned the fan on the computer up, so it should hopefully start to keep it a bit cool. But you get this background white noise in the room, which the microphone, which is about there, may or may not pick up, I don't know. So let's bring in Kylo. Now you can see by having this camera lower, you get a better shot there without me having to. Previously, if you look at me down here in the corner, I would have had to have done that, holding it up to the camera, and it would have been really awkward. Now the camera is lower down and I can just hold it there, and if I want to get in close, I can still lean down and do some great close-up work, and you can hopefully see everything that I'm doing. So that should be quite good. So that's where we're up to with Kylo. He's looking really realistic now. He's looking really good. If you're trying to remember from the Phantom Menace. Phantom Menace? Where did that come from? You know what? That calls for more hot chocolate. Force Awakens. I think my brain just heard the F sound, like the F throughout Phantom Menace for some reason. As Kylo was in The Force Awakens, he was a little bit different looking in The Last Jedi. We're not getting into a Last Jedi discussion here. I actually loved it. I thought it was wonderful. but this is not the place for arguments about Star Wars films. But as he looked in The Force Awakens, he was a little bit different, and that pretty much is how he looked. So let me have a look at the eyes. The eyes are looking good. I want to do a dark glaze over the eyes just to make them a little bit darker before we're finished, but not too dark, because putting the varnish on top of that will help with the shininess. That'll make them look good. I'm quite happy with most of the shading on that. Just checking I've still got it in the right place. I think we might make his pupils a little bit darker and do some eyebrow work, and then maybe do some of the hair, which has got to be done. Okay, let us eeny meeny miny mo. Alright, so let's get some black. I'm just going to do the pupils. Now, the way I used to do them, I mentioned this loads of times in videos, I used to just finish the eye and then go dot in the middle. Really quick, nice and simple, but if you got it wrong, you were buggered, and you had to try and clean it off, hope it didn't darken the paint that you'd already spent ages doing, and redo it. The way I do it now is slower and more subtle, and takes longer, but gives you more freedom to adjust mistakes as you go along. Now I've just put down a little drop of black there. I'm going to have to be careful. I've just realised the microphone is there. If I lift this up to show you, I may hit the microphone, so I'll have to be careful with that. That brush should be alright. It's not one of my best ones, but I think it'll do for this. So if I grab a little bit of... Let's lift this up. So, where are we? So I've just got a little bit of thinner stuff. Oh my god. Flow enhancer. And I'm going to get a little bit of water and thin this down. Sort of like that. I'm going to put a little bit more water on there. Almost like a thin ink is what I'm after. Where you can go blob blob blob, or you can, you know, you could do like a thin wash over something if you wanted to. That's what I'm after. It's thinned down, but it's still black. So, well, I have to be careful, so let me get this in the right place. And I'll tell you what I can do. If I bring up my webcam settings, so that is webcam 1. Zoom that in a little bit and see if I can get the focus roughly right. Okay, about there. Let's see if I can do this. So what I want to do, make sure that there's not too much liquid on the brush. Because we don't want it, you know, sometimes if you have too much, more than you realise, you put it on. As soon as you touch it, you get this big blob of paint and liquid that covers everything. Okay, so that's where it needs to sit. So I'll try and keep that there. Oops, just headbutted the camera again, sorry. Hopefully it'll settle down. Okay, so you can see the shiny pupil there, that's because that's wet. And that's what I've done there. So compare it to the one on the left and you can see it's darker. Now it's still thin paint, so that will dry. It'll be a little bit thin. It's not going to be as if I've put a load of super black paint there, but it is darker. Now when doing this side, because I'm right-handed, I'm crossing over. You have to be careful with the brush because you've got black paint on it, especially if you're filming and sometimes are not paying attention to the actual thing you're holding, you look at the screen. I have done this before where I'm going down to try and do something on the eye and I've touched the brush. I'll do it with the metal here, but I've touched the brush on the nose. But with the hair, and like that's right by the nose there now. And it's very easy to touch that when you're going over to there. So either twist it around a little bit to give you more angle that way, or come in at the front, or just, and the thing that I sometimes don't do, pay attention a bit more. So I'm going to test that again. A little bit more liquid than I need, so I'll get some of that off. Okay, so we needed that to be, for the camera, about there. I'll try and hold that in place again. So I'm going to come around in the front. Now when I'm going in with that to do the thing, instead of doing it, even though I'm using my little finger there to steady it against the head, so everything is sort of together, I'm also using this thumb to steady that thumb there, which gives you a nice, like everything moves, or like if you wobble, everything's moving together, but then you just use those middle few fingers to give you the control of going up and down onto the target that you're aiming for. So that's quite good. I'm going to get rid of some of the liquid on the brush just so it's not too drippy. I'm just making that area that I've done slightly bigger, but without putting too much down. It's very easy when you're trying to get the perfect circle, doing it just right and then taking it a little bit too far, and all of a sudden, oh no, I've ruined it, and then you have to try and fix everything. So it's a slow process of dot, 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 trying to get it just right. I like that. I think I'm going to let those dry and see how it looks. And when I go over with a glaze of dark brown at the end, that will push those backwards a little bit, so it won't stand out as much, and that should look quite good. Okay, let me take the focus back down. Let's get rid of the zoom a bit because we don't need it. Okay, cool. Oh, excuse me. Okay, let's take the... So that's where I'm going to hold it. Let's bring the focus up a little bit. There you go. Okay, so that is that. Let me clean this brush. And that is today's video. No, I'm joking. Stop it. Okay, so that's the pupil. I'm just looking at some pictures. You know what we can do that I've not even looked at yet, because we've been doing everything else, and it's obviously one of the very final layers. Some of his mole, some of the little brown spots on his face. We could do a few of them. because I'm not going to do anything else on top of the skin, so I could do some of those now. Why not? There's something different, something to stop you being bored. If you're doing a paint job and you're doing lots of similar type things, it can feel like you're working in a bit of a factory sometimes, and it's always good, whether it's by doing a different painting job, a different commission maybe, or even something different on the thing that you're working on. Why am I talking in a little screen in the corner? Hello. Whether it's going to a completely different job that's totally different, or a different commission, or on the piece that you're working on, do something else on it. Say you're doing loads of skin work and it's starting to feel a little bit boring. Paint the leather boots if it's a statue, or paint a gun or a hand, or do some hair, or do something different. In this case, we were doing the eyes, and then we're going to do the eyebrows, and it's all lots of the same stuff. Do some brown spots all over his face and make it look... That's one of the things that makes Adam Driver look like Adam Driver. So that was a random thought that came to me. I was like, why don't we do that? Let's do that. Make it a little bit more interesting for me. My hot chocolate's gone. I'm not impressed. My hot chocolate's gone. Alright, so let's get some brown. Let me look at his face. So there are some of them. So talking about the dots all over his face now, the small tiny moles and stuff. Some of them are very dark brown. Let me go back to that. Some of them are dark brown. Some of them are a slightly more orangey brown, slightly more reddy brown. Some of them are a little bit yellowish. I could just get brown. Most other people will probably just pick a brown and do them all the same like that. Oh, you know, I'm me, so I want to make them a little bit different. Now, some of them are going to have a bit of red in, and some of them are going to be quite dark but sort of thin, so black brown. So I think that will do for his moles. Now, when I'm actually doing it, I may not even use all of these. I may end up going and they just look so good that I can control how they look with different levels of, you know, water and thinner to make them darker and lighter, and that on the skin might work. Honestly, when it's a head this big, it's probably absolutely fine. But I'm looking at a big zoomed in picture of his face, and some of them are very dark brown, and some of them are a slightly reddish brown, and some of them are a little bit more orange colour, and some of them are leather brown colour. Loads of them, but different colours. So that's what we're going to do now. Do I use that same brush? I could probably get away with it. It is small enough. It's not a perfect brush, but it's good enough for what I'm doing. Okay, let's... Where are we? No, we're on the right camera down. Pay attention. Oh my god. You'd think I do this for a living or something. Okay, let's get... Oh, I don't know. Let's start on his forehead. I don't know why I'm starting there, but let's do that. So this is one that I bought when I was trying to find a good colour match for my leather brown. I bought this. Actually, I didn't buy this. I ordered a different one. And they sent me this instead. And instead of the standard Vallejo colours, they sent me one of these, which is basically mixed for airbrushes. And it's a lot thinner. It's a lot more watered down. And it was actually a decent colour. It was just very thin. So I thought, you know what, I'll keep that, and if I ever need a colour that I think is that sort of colour, even though this is thinner than most of the other colours that I've got, I will just work with that knowing that it is thinner. So let's put a big horrible blob of it on the side of the thing there. Let's get rid of that for a start. Bit of dried paint. Okay, so blob on the thing. That is that, and I want to make it... Do Do I have orange? I don't really have orange. I do have sunny skin tone. That's quite yellowy. Do I want that or do I want red? That might work. I'll put a blob of that down. It's quite yellow. You know what I'll do at the same time? Let's get some red. I've got two different reds that I sort of change between vermilion and flat red. You can sort of see the difference there. Don't know if it shows up on camera. They look quite similar on the screen, but I don't know if it actually shows up. Oop, get a blob of that down. Wow. Some of these, as soon as I shake them, it seems to put them under pressure, and then I tilt it upside down, they just go all over the place. Okay, so I've got three colours there. Ooh, and burps in my belly. So I'm going to get some water down. Let's see. Look at the colour I'm trying to make. So let's get some... I actually didn't need water for the brown because the brown was already watered down. But, so let's get some red. Let's get some of sunny skin tone colour. A bit more brown. Okay, so that's quite a light colour. Don't know if it's actually too light. Sort of difficult without knowing what shade it's going to dry to. I'm just testing on random areas of my palette to see what it looks like. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put a little bit of mahogany brown into it. Whoops, too much. A little bit of mahogany brown. That'll do. So I've mixed that sort of colour. And I have to be careful here because I've splodged a bit of paint on the side there, and I want to make sure that I do not accidentally get some on my fingers and then touch the head and make a mess of my nice clean paint job. So let's get that out of the way. Okay, so let's move this up towards the camera and change the focus. Where's the focus? Okay, about there. That's fine. Okay, so he's got two. I'll pull my glasses down so I can look over. So I can look through my glasses when I'm looking at the screen. But then when I'm going close up to his head, I can look over the glasses to let my old man eyesight see what I'm doing. That's quite close to the skin colour. We'll see how they look. What I'm going to do, obviously there's main ones of these that will really stand out, but some of the other ones can be quite subtle, so I can do a few of those with this colour. Let's get a bit more red in there. It's quite red, but I think I can use that for some of them. Now on this head that I'm painting, some of the big ones have been sculpted in, but not all of them, which is as you would want it. You wouldn't want to have a load of bumps all over the face where you don't need them to be. Just going to add a bit more red to that one that I did at the top there. So I don't want to hold this too close to the camera because it does get a little, even though this is much better camera position for me doing close-ups like that, it's still a little bit awkward, but it's better. Okay, let's do a couple over there. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, so let's do some darker ones. Let's do some that are, let's get that colour off. The dark colour that I put down last, what was it, mahogany? I know it's out of focus on your screen. I'm just basically adding a load of water to the mahogany one to thin it right down. Might put a tiny little bit of red in it just to make it a bit more red, and it's really, really thin. So I don't know how this is gonna dry, but I'm deliberately not putting a lot of, you know, thick paint on there because I want control. So if I do it and it's not, you know, strong enough, the paint, then I'll do another layer, and that's better. So see that? Now that's a different colour than the one next to it. And even though it's subtle, and even though essentially they look brown, because they're different enough, it helps. So now, because this is, in fact, let me undo that. I'm going to get a bit of kitchen roll and dab off the paint on that one. What I did there, that bump, be careful not to touch the head, that bump there is a physical sculpted bump, and I put down some of that colour on it, but it was a thinned down version of the colour. And what happened, because it was very watery and it's a sculpted 3D bull, the water just ran off to the sides, leaving the top of the bump skin colour, and you had this ring of dark brown, which is absolutely not what we want. So what I'm doing here is adding more paint to the thinned down version so it's not so thinned down, and hopefully we can do that again with less liquid, and the paint will actually stick where I want it to. Okay, let's bring that back and try that again. Where are we? Okay, so about there. Just do a couple of layers of that. Put it on, let it dry, put it on, let it dry. Okay, so do the same over here. Now, some of these, let me in fact put that over there a sec. I want to get some black brown out. Some of the the sculpted bumps on this are in slightly the wrong place. They're close enough. I don't want to be messing around with sculpted bits trying to change where they are. Often with heads I will do that. If there's something that's wrong on the sculpt, I will try and fix it with paint. With this, they are close enough, and what I will do is like most of the big ones are in the right place. Well, they're in roughly the right place, and we can go with them, but I will add. Let's just, where's that? Where do I? I'm leaning my arm against the edge of the desk so I can hold it in one place for you. Now this one that's on his lip here is a bit dark, and I might have done this too dark here, so I'm gonna... Yeah, that's too dark. It's too dark and too thick. So let me, while that's there, mix some... Oh, my throat just made a weird burpy noise. Mix some lighter brown out of the mahogany brown and that sunny colour. And I'm going to put some of that on top of that dark one that I just did, which is... It's sort of the right colour, but it was just a bit too thick, a bit too dark. It's actually a fairly big one as well, but I don't want to go over the edges too much. Check them in the right place for you. Yep. Okay, that's quite good. I went quiet there. I went into focus concentration mode. All right. So this colour that I used, there was mahogany and the sunny skin colour. I'm going to use more of that. Might put a little bit more water in it, not too much. Wipe off the excess. Let's see. So he has one there, one there. There's one a little bit higher up that isn't sculpted. There's one actually on the side of the nose. Actually, that one can be a little bit higher up that way. Yep, that's good. There's one round here that's quite big, but it's not really dark, so I'm just going to use what's left on the brush to put some colour down, but not like really thick layer. So that'll be enough for that. Another dark one up here. Let's get some red into that. Do some, where's the focus? Do a largish but thin one over there. Couple of little ones on the end of his nose. Oh, one down there. One next to the one that we did, with maybe a little dark dot in the middle. It's amazing the difference just adding these makes to the face. All of a sudden really starts to look like Adam Driver. It's quite cool. So he's got one to the left of his mouth about there. Oh, brush had dried off. Try that again, Darren. Let's add a little bit of mahogany. One down here, and just by dotting them around, and as you're looking at the reference photos, you're looking at the colours, you're looking at the positioning of them. He's got 3 quite light ones just under here. Let's see if I can get this. There's a light one there that we already did. Ugh, try it out again. Because there's not much paint on the brush. I'm going to do some of it. I'm going to get that light colour that we mixed and add some mahogany to it. I'm going to thin that down. That should actually be quite good. Okay, let's get the head in place for the camera, so about there, and he's got 3 little ones together. Just under his eye like that. Now I'm going to dab those off because I don't want them to be full strength, but they're quite good. He does have them. Gonna add another one above that. Got that one there that we already did. See, it's going around the face, and sometimes you see that you've already done one. Sometimes you think, oh, hang on, there's one I haven't done, and it's just going around putting them all in. And the reason why I'm so careful to do these subtly is because you don't want to end up with a head that looks like it's, you know, painted with loads of dots. You want it to look real, but by using different colours and different thicknesses, so some of them end up being a little bit more skin colour because there's more of that showing through, some of them end up being dark brown, but just because of the difference you end up, some of them are red, some of them are dark brown, some of them are, you know, chocolate brown, some of them are a bit skin coloured. There's different sizes obviously, but you've been using different thicknesses of paint. That makes a big difference to his face already. I love that. That's so good. I like that a lot. I'm just, instead of looking at the head now, which is quite close, I have to sort of look over my glasses and get really quite close to it. I'm looking at on the screen, so I'm looking at the same image that you're seeing now, and I'm just turning it from side to side and looking at the position and the strength of the things that I've just been painting and seeing if I've missed any. And yep, there's one. Let's get some chocolate. Let's thin it right down, like really, 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 really thin. very watery, and get the focus in the right place for the camera. And where is that one? I've lost it. What was I doing? So I've done that one. There was one there which I'd done. There's one underneath that which I hadn't done. One a bit further on that way, and one up there. Now they should dry quite light, but what I'm going to do is go boink. Oh, actually smudge that one. Yay, well done, Darren. Where's my backup brush? Ah, I didn't get a backup brush out. The lesson I was trying to teach you on a previous video. Okay, so I've just grabbed this one. There you go. Water and a scrub, and it's gone. I've lost where I was mixing that colour. I think it was there. Okay, so that was there. Let's put one there. And put a little tiny one there. Yep, that's good. Oh, he's got a little one around the corner of his mouth. Now, these ones I'm doing, they're roughly the same colour as what I've got on the brush now, so that's why I'm just dotting around, not worrying so much about trying to change the colour, because I'm just looking for ones on the pictures that match the colour that I know I've got on my brush already. Actually, one right in the middle of his nose there, but it's quite faint, so what I'm going to do is put that one down and then use a kitchen roll and just dab it off. Actually dabbed off too much of it. Let's put that one back. Tiny little one. And there's actually one there, but quite thin, so that works quite well, that one. And then let's get some black brown, thin that down, and just in the middle of that one that I just did, I just want to put a little boink. That'll do. Let's bring this focus back down, not that far. That's really cool. I like that. And what we can do sort of between now and the end of the commission, as we're doing the rest of the stuff, as we're doing the eyebrows, as we're doing, you know, anything else on the eyes, as we're doing the hair, anything else we see, if we happen to look at the face and go, oh, you know what, that one could be a bit bigger, or that one could be a bit more brown, or whatever, we can adjust them. It's good getting away from things sometimes and looking back at them with fresh eyes, and it lets you see, are you right in the way that you've done something? And they are really good. I like that. And the good thing is, what we've done is we've done the ones that were sculpted on, and we've also added a load of smaller ones that weren't, but are part of his face, and it's important that they're there, you know, especially if you want this to be a detailed paint job. Awesome. I like that. Oh, excuse me. Okay, cool. Let's go back to this. I'm going to put this to one side. Oh my god, drinking that hot chocolate has given me the burps. Let's get this out of the way for a sec. And clean the brush while I'm talking to you. Okay, so we only did one thing there, essentially. Actually, no, we did two. We did the pupils, made them more black. From the dark brown, what's the phrase I'm trying to think of? pre-pupils. So the colour that I did, and I did the colour of the eye around the iris, but leaving a dark brown circle in the middle, which is going to be where the pupils were, and that worked. But we wanted to go in and make them more black, which is what we've just done. And then when we go over with a wash of dark brown, just to push them back and make his eyes darker as they should be, you know, for real, that will blend everything together. But we've done the black on the pupils now, and we've just gone round his face and put all of the moles there that should be there. I learned the lesson that I was trying to teach you in one of my previous videos of having a spare brush out that's clean in case you make a mistake and you can just put some water on it and wash it away, and I forgot to do that. Thankfully it was alright, but that could have been a huge, you know, mistake, and I could have buggered something up there, so thankfully I didn't. And that's a good way to prove no, it's important that you do that. And it's not a thing that I always used to do, but I found over the years that it was just really useful for the times that either you deliberately do something but you do it wrong, or the times when you are just looking to see what time it is and you accidentally with your brush go and, you know, touch something where it shouldn't be, or you get paint on your thumb and you hold the head and you smudge a big thing of, you know, bright red across his face or something. For those moments it's important to have another brush that you can just grab, a bit of water, dab it off and give it a clean, but not too vigorously, because if you're painting in super thin layers like we are, you can rub off all the paint that you've just done. Well, not all of it, the early layers will probably stay there, but all the delicate subtle stuff that you just sort of magically sprinkled over the top, you can rub that off. And I know some people spray varnish or whatever on the heads in between every layer or every few layers. I don't like doing that because I don't know, it probably doesn't make any difference. You probably can do that as long as you spray it on thin enough and you don't do a lot of it. But obviously the physics of it mean that if you are putting on extra layers, you are filling in sculpted details of the head because you're putting on more layers of stuff on top, even though it's quite thin. And if you do it properly and it's a proper spray, it's not going to be noticeable, and, you know, it might help put your mind at ease of being able to hold the thing without wrecking it, or at least be able to clean it off a bit better if you have to. But it's just not a thing that I've ever done. I just spray them at the end when I'm done. The only thing that I used, the thing that I used to leave, sometimes I do now, I'll paint the whole thing, and right before I do the pupils, which we've just done there, but especially if it's on light eyes, so it really stands out, like if someone's got really bright blue eyes, what I might do is do all of that, do everything else, and either just paint gloss on the eyes and do it that way, so if I make a mistake I can wet it, rub it off, and it keeps the eye intact. But what I also found sometimes when doing that was in rubbing off that black paint, some of it got on the skin that you hadn't sealed because you just painted gloss on the eyeball, then that would change you know, it's even watered down paint can darken the colour of skin as you've been painting it. So what I would do before doing the pupil, I would paint the whole thing, spray it with the varnish that I do, let that dry, and then once that's done, go on with the gloss on the eyes, paint the pupil, sort of safe in the knowledge that if I messed up, the job underneath was accurate and safe. Now in this case, I felt safe doing those eyes because they're sort of dark and they're quite subtle, and it's not a massive thing to stand out, and it'll probably look alright. I was just okay doing that. At the end, I'll give them a couple of sprays, gloss, matte, do the eyes separately. So I didn't need to do that in this case, but some people do. If you're painting your paint jobs and if you feel safer doing a quick, very thin of sealer over the whole thing, not like every layer, because we do dozens and dozens of layers. maybe if people are painting really simple paint jobs and they paint skin and do a couple of layers of shading and then just do a few details and they're done, maybe. But we're doing dozens of layers, so you don't want to varnish it after every layer. But if it makes you feel safe doing it a few times through, as long as it's thin layers, you should be alright. Even if you did it wrong, oh, I've got such an itchy nose. Even if you did it wrong and you sprayed too much on it, it's still not going to be ruined, because I have done paint jobs over the years, usually ones for myself, where I have either painted on way too thick or put on way too much varnish. And honestly, at the end, once you put the matte varnish on and put the gloss on the eyes and make the eyes shiny and maybe do a couple of touch-up details and like extra eyebrow details or something, they pretty much always look good anyway. So you're alright. It's just, I'm trying to tell you the way I do something, and then you can steal whatever ideas you want and use your own and tell me what you do, and then I can steal your ideas. So that's how that works. So that'll do for now for that one. That is 51 minutes now. That was part 13. Thanks for being patient waiting for these. I will see you for part 14. And what will we do in part 14? His eyebrows, maybe? Let's do his eyebrows next time. There you go. Even though I try not to say exactly what I'm doing because I usually change my mind, I'm going to put it on record. We are doing his eyebrows next time. We'll see if I stick to that. Right, take care everyone. Have a good day, have a good week, have a good weekend, whatever time it is when you're watching this. Look after yourselves, look after the people around you, be kind to animals, and I will see you soon. Yeah, and we'll carry on. Part 13, we're near the end now. There's a couple of videos, maybe. I don't know, 2 or 3. Something like that. I'll see you next time. Go away. Leave me alone. Bye everyone. Take care. That didn't press. Yes it did. Bye.